Speak the moment you decide to think in English instead of translating every sentence. You begin changing the way your brain works. Most learners believe their biggest problem is vocabulary, grammar, or pronunciation. The truth is far deeper than that. The real barrier is the invisible habit of translating every thought before speaking. Your brain hears an idea, converts it into your native language, searches for English equivalents, checks grammar, worries about mistakes, and only then allows you to speak. By the time the words finally come out, the conversation has already moved on. This cycle creates hesitation, anxiety, and self-doubt. It is not because your brain lacks intelligence, it is because your brain has been trained to follow the wrong path. Every expert in language acquisition understands one powerful principle. The brain becomes faster at whatever it repeats most often. If you repeatedly translate before speaking, your brain becomes an expert translator. If you repeatedly think directly in English, your brain slowly becomes an English thinking machine. The difference is not talent. The difference is training. Your mind is always adapting to the habits you practice every single day. Imagine a child learning to speak. A child does not translate words from another language. A child connects sounds directly with people, objects, emotions, and experiences. When a child sees rain, the word becomes connected with the experience of rain. When a child feels happiness, the language connects with the emotion itself. This direct connection creates speed and fluency. That same process still exists inside your adult brain. It has never disappeared. It only needs to be awakened again. Stop asking yourself how to translate every sentence correctly. Instead, ask yourself how to describe what you see using the English you already know. If you see a chair, simply think, "En quoi, this chair is comfortable." En quoi, if you are drinking coffee, think, "En quoi, this coffee is hot." En quoi, these simple thoughts may seem small, but they build a completely different mental pathway. Every direct English thought is another brick in the foundation of fluency. Many learners wait until they know thousands of words before trying to think in English. That day never arrives. Fluency is not the reward for thinking in English. Thinking in English is what creates fluency. Your vocabulary grows because your brain begins connecting new words directly to meaning instead of translating them through another language. That change feels slow in the beginning, but every day your mind becomes slightly faster, slightly clearer, and slightly more confident. Your inner voice is more powerful than any textbook. You carry it everywhere. It speaks while you walk, eat, work, exercise, and dream about the future. Most people allow that voice to remain trapped inside their native language. Imagine what happens when you slowly transform that inner conversation into English. Every ordinary moment becomes practice. Every observation becomes a lesson. Every experience becomes another opportunity to strengthen the language without opening a notebook. Do not fear simple sentences. Simple thinking builds strong foundations. The strongest buildings begin with the deepest foundations, not the tallest walls. The same principle applies to language. A clear, simple English thought repeated hundreds of times is more valuable than a complicated sentence you never dare to speak. Confidence grows through repetition, not complexity. There will be moments when your mind reaches for your native language. That is normal. Do not judge yourself. Gently guide your thoughts back into English. Every return is another repetition. Every repetition strengthens a new habit. Your brain does not demand perfection. It responds to consistency. The more often you choose English over translation, the more natural that choice becomes, until one day you notice something extraordinary. You are no longer translating, speak. You are simply thinking. And when that moment arrives, speaking English no longer feels like solving a puzzle. It feels like expressing who you are. Consistency is not exciting in the beginning. It rarely creates applause. It does not make dramatic headlines. Most people underestimate it because the results are invisible at first. They expect one powerful lesson, one perfect book, or one inspiring video to transform their English overnight. But the brain does not change because of intensity. It changes because of repetition. Every single day you return to the language, you send a message to your brain that this skill matters. Over time, your brain stops treating English as something unfamiliar and starts recognizing it as part of your everyday life. Think about how you learn to recognize the faces of your family. You did not memorize them through a single lesson. You saw them again and again until recognition became effortless. Language works the same way. Every sentence you hear, every word you read, and every phrase you speak leaves a small trace inside your mind. One trace may seem insignificant, but thousands of repeated traces become permanent pathways. That is how the brain rewires itself. Many learners quit because they mistake slow progress for no progress. They study for a few days, become frustrated, and convince themselves that they are not talented enough. What they fail to realize is that the brain is working even when results are not yet visible. Beneath the surface, new connections are forming. Sounds become easier to recognize. Words become easier to remember. Patterns begin to repeat. The changes are quiet before they become obvious. Imagine drops of water falling onto a rock. 1 drop changes nothing. 10 drops appear meaningless. 100 drops seem invisible, yet over time, continuous drops carve deep marks into solid stone. The water is not powerful because of 1 drop. It is powerful because it never stops. Your daily English practice follows the same principle. 5 minutes today may not impress anyone. 5 minutes tomorrow may not feel different. But those repeated moments reshape your thinking in ways you cannot immediately see. The greatest obstacle is not difficulty, it is inconsistency. People often wait until they feel motivated before they study. Motivation comes and goes like the weather. Some mornings you feel excited. Other days you feel tired, distracted, or discouraged. If your learning depends on emotion, your progress will always rise and fall. Consistency creates something much stronger than motivation. It creates discipline. Discipline allows you to continue even when excitement disappears. Your brain rewards what you repeat. If you repeat excuses, your brain becomes skilled at finding reasons to quit. If you repeat practice, your brain becomes skilled at understanding English. Every action tells your mind what is important. When you choose to listen to English every day, your brain begins paying closer attention to English sounds. When you read every day, vocabulary becomes more familiar. When you speak every day, hesitation begins to fade. Small actions repeated consistently become extraordinary results. Do not measure today's effort against today's outcome. Measure today's effort against the person you are becoming. Every page you read strengthens comprehension. Every podcast you finish sharpens listening. Every conversation improves confidence. None of these moments feels life-changing on its own. Yet together they create a transformation that surprises everyone, including you. The people who appear naturally fluent were rarely born with extraordinary ability. They simply stayed with the process long enough for their brains to adapt. What looks like talent is often the result of thousands of ordinary practice sessions that nobody ever saw. Behind every confident speaker is a history of repetition, patience, and persistence. Speak, there will be days when your pronunciation feels awkward. There will be moments when you forget simple words you knew yesterday. That does not mean you are moving backwards. Learning is never a perfectly straight path. Some days, your brain organizes what it learned yesterday instead of showing visible improvement today. Trust the process instead of judging every single session. Choose consistency over perfection. Read 1 page even when you cannot read 10. Listen for a few minutes even when you cannot study for an hour. Speak 1 sentence even when you are afraid of making mistakes. Every repeated action teaches your brain that English belongs in your daily life. Eventually, what once required effort becomes automatic. The language stops feeling foreign because your brain has been trained to expect it, recognize it, and use it naturally. That is the quiet power of consistency. It changes your habits, reshapes your thinking, and transforms your future one day at a time. Every person who speaks English with confidence has one thing in common. They have made hundreds, even thousands of mistakes. What separates fluent speakers from struggling learners is not that one group avoids mistakes. It is that one group refuses to let mistakes become excuses. The moment you begin fearing mistakes more than you desire progress, your growth slows down. Fear convinces you to stay silent. Silence feels safe, but it also keeps your ability exactly where it is. Your voice becomes trapped, not because you lack intelligence, but because you have trained yourself to believe that perfection must come before participation. The brain was never designed to learn without error. Think about every skill you have mastered in life. You learn to walk by falling. You learn to write by making uneven letters. You learn to ride a bicycle by losing balance. Every meaningful skill began with failure, correction, and repetition. Language follows the same path. Yet many learners expect English to be the one skill they should perform perfectly from the beginning. That expectation creates pressure, and pressure creates hesitation. Hesitation slowly becomes a habit. The strongest learners understand something that others ignore. Every mistake contains information. A wrong pronunciation reveals what sound needs more attention. A forgotten word shows which vocabulary needs more repetition. A grammar error points directly to the next lesson your brain is ready to learn. Instead of seeing mistakes as evidence of weakness, they treat them as instructions for improvement. Every error becomes a teacher instead of an enemy. Your brain remembers emotional experiences more deeply than comfortable routines. When you make a mistake, feel slightly embarrassed, correct yourself, and continue speaking, your brain pays attention. It recognizes that something important happened. The corrected version becomes stronger in memory than if you had only read the rule inside a textbook. Growth happens because your brain actively solves a problem instead of passively observing information. Many people spend years preparing to speak English, but never actually speak. They continue collecting vocabulary, watching lessons, and studying grammar because they hope confidence will arrive first. Confidence rarely comes before action. Confidence grows after repeated action. Every conversation, every incorrect sentence, and every awkward pause becomes another layer of experience. Experience creates certainty. Certainty creates confidence. Imagine two students beginning on the same day. One refuses to speak until every sentence feels perfect. The other speaks every day, makes mistakes, laughs, learns, and continues. In the beginning, the first student may appear more accurate because they rarely take risks. Months later, the second student moves ahead because real improvement belongs to those who practice, not to those who endlessly prepare. Progress rewards courage more often than comfort. Speak. Do not apologize for being a learner. Every fluent speaker was once unable to express even the simplest ideas. They reached fluency because they kept speaking long after the excitement disappeared. They accepted correction without allowing it to damage their confidence. They understood that every mistake moved them one step closer to mastery instead of one step further away from it. Your greatest competitor is not another learner. It is the voice inside your own mind that whispers you are not ready. That voice grows stronger every time you remain silent. It grows weaker every time you choose to speak, despite uncertainty. The goal is not to eliminate fear completely. The goal is to prove that fear no longer controls your actions. Replace embarrassment with curiosity. Instead of asking, "What if I sound foolish?" ask, "What can I learn from this moment?" That single change transforms the entire learning experience. Your attention shifts away from protecting your image and toward improving your ability. The brain thrives in environments where curiosity is stronger than judgment. The next time you mispronounce a word, forget a sentence, or struggle to explain an idea, remember that you have not failed. You have collected another lesson that no book could teach as effectively as experience. Every correction strengthens your memory. Every challenge sharpens your understanding. Every imperfect conversation builds a stronger, more confident speaker. The people who succeed are not the ones who avoid mistakes. They are the ones who keep moving forward until mistakes become milestones, marking the journey from hesitation to fluency. Every environment is quietly shaping the person you become. The music you hear, the conversations around you, the videos you watch, the words you read, and even the thoughts you repeat are training your brain every single day. Your mind is always adapting to what surrounds it. If English appears in your life only during a short study session, your brain treats it like a temporary visitor. But when English becomes part of your daily environment, your brain begins accepting it as something normal, familiar, and necessary. That is when real transformation begins. Most people believe they need to travel abroad before they can think naturally in English. They imagine that fluency belongs only to those who live in English-speaking countries. The truth is far more empowering. Your environment is not defined by your location. It is defined by what you choose to expose your mind to every day. Two people can live in the same city, sit in the same classroom, and have completely different results because one intentionally surrounds themselves with English while the other only studies it when required. The brain is constantly searching for patterns. Whatever appears repeatedly becomes easier to recognize. If your phone, entertainment, reading material, and daily habits are all in your native language, your brain becomes faster at processing that language. If English begins appearing throughout your day, your brain gradually shifts its attention. It starts recognizing familiar phrases without conscious effort. Words that once felt foreign begin to feel ordinary. Listening becomes easier because the sounds are no longer strangers. Imagine walking into a room filled with people speaking English every day. At first, everything feels confusing. You catch only a few words. Your mind struggles to keep up. Yet after enough time, something remarkable happens. You begin recognizing common expressions. Your ears become more sensitive to pronunciation. Your confidence slowly grows because your brain has been surrounded by consistent exposure. You can create that same effect without changing countries. You simply change what enters your mind each day. Replace background noise with meaningful English. Listen to podcasts while walking. Play English interviews while cooking. Watch educational videos instead of endlessly scrolling through distractions. Read short articles before sleeping. Change your device settings to English. Label objects around your room with their English names. Speak to yourself while getting ready in the morning. These actions may appear ordinary, but together they create an environment that teaches your brain one powerful lesson. English is no longer an occasional subject. It has become part of everyday life. Many learners wait until they understand every word before listening regularly. That approach keeps the brain trapped in comfort. Growth begins when you allow yourself to hear English even without complete understanding. Your brain is remarkably skilled at discovering patterns through repeated exposure. The first time you hear a phrase, it may seem impossible to understand. After hearing it many times in different situations, the meaning begins to reveal itself naturally. Learning happens because your brain keeps searching for connections. Your surroundings influence your identity more than your intentions. If every habit reminds you that English is important, your actions begin matching that belief. The language slowly becomes woven into your daily routine. Instead of asking when you should study English, you begin living alongside it. Every moment becomes another opportunity for your brain to strengthen familiar sounds, sentence structures, and vocabulary. Do not underestimate the power of small changes. A single English song every morning, a few pages of an English book each evening, a short conversation with yourself while looking in the mirror, a simple journal written in English before bed. None of these habits feels extraordinary on its own, yet together they build an atmosphere where learning becomes effortless because your brain is surrounded by constant reminders. Protect your environment with intention. Not every influence deserves your attention. Choose content that inspires you to listen carefully, think deeply, and speak confidently. Fill your surroundings with voices that challenge your understanding instead of feeding your distractions. Every choice either strengthens your future fluency or delays it. One day you will notice that English no longer feels like a school subject waiting inside a notebook. It becomes the language of your thoughts while walking, your curiosity while learning, your entertainment while relaxing, and your confidence while speaking. That transformation does not happen through one perfect lesson. It happens because you built an environment where your brain had no choice but to grow. When your surroundings consistently speak the language you want to master, your mind begins speaking it too. Every transformation begins with identity long before it becomes visible in results. Most people believe fluency is something you earn after years of study. They tell themselves, when I become fluent, I will finally see myself as an English speaker. That belief sounds logical, but it quietly keeps them trapped. The truth works in the opposite direction. You first become the kind of person who speaks English consistently, and then fluency follows. Your identity shapes your actions shape your habits, and your habits shape your future. If you continue seeing yourself as someone who is merely trying to learn English, your behavior will always reflect uncertainty. But the moment you begin seeing yourself as someone who is becoming an English speaker, everything starts to change. Your brain listens carefully to the story you repeat about yourself. Every time you say, "I am bad at English," your mind accepts that statement as reality. It begins searching for evidence to prove you right. You notice every mistake, every forgotten word, and every awkward conversation. Confidence disappears because your identity has already decided the outcome. The problem is not your ability. The problem is the label you have placed upon yourself. Speak. Think about people who exercise regularly. They do not wake up every morning debating whether they should live a healthy life. They simply act because being healthy has become part of who they are. Their habits are no longer forced decisions. They are natural expressions of identity. Language learning follows the same principle. When English becomes part of your identity, practicing no longer feels like a chore. It becomes something you naturally do because it matches the person you believe you are becoming. Many learners spend years collecting vocabulary without changing the way they see themselves. They memorize lists, complete exercises, and watch endless lessons, yet they continue introducing themselves with doubt. They say they are not good enough, not confident enough, or not ready enough. Those words quietly become mental barriers stronger than any grammar rule. Every negative belief strengthens hesitation. Every hesitant action reinforces the same belief. The cycle continues until they decide to change the story. Identity is built through repeated evidence. Every time you choose to think in English instead of translating, you cast a vote for your future identity. Every time you read an English article, listen to a podcast, write a journal entry, or speak despite uncertainty, you reinforce the belief that English belongs in your life. These actions may seem small, but they are powerful because they prove something to your own mind. You are becoming the person you claim to be. Do not wait for confidence before acting. Action creates confidence. The strongest identities are not built through imagination alone. They are built through consistent behavior. Each decision either strengthens your new identity or keeps the old one alive. Every English conversation, no matter how imperfect, becomes evidence that you are growing. Every lesson completed becomes another reminder that your future is different from your past. Stop measuring yourself against fluent speakers. Measure yourself against the person you were yesterday. Growth is not about winning a race against someone else. It is about becoming someone your previous self would hardly recognize. Every improvement matters because it reflects a deeper transformation taking place inside your mind. There will be days when you question your progress. You will forget words you knew yesterday. You will struggle to express simple ideas. In those moments, remember that identity is not destroyed by one difficult day. A musician remains a musician even after a poor performance. An athlete remains an athlete after a disappointing match. In the same way, you remain an English speaker in progress even when your conversation is imperfect. One difficult moment does not erase months of consistent effort. Speak to yourself with the same encouragement you would offer a close friend. Replace limiting thoughts with purposeful ones. Instead of saying, "I cannot speak English," remind yourself, "I am improving every day." Instead of saying, "I always make mistakes," say, "Every conversation makes me stronger." Your words influence your focus, and your focus influences your future. The day will come when you suddenly realize you are thinking in English without forcing it. You will understand conversations more naturally. You will respond without translating every sentence. Those moments will feel effortless, but they are not accidents. They are the result of an identity that was strengthened day after day through consistent action. Fluency is not created by one perfect lesson or one extraordinary breakthrough. It is created by becoming the kind of person who chooses English every day until the language is no longer something you study. It becomes part of the way you think, communicate, and live. That is when fluency stops feeling like a destination and becomes part of who you are.